back to my channel. Hey guys. Good morning. Okay. I was actually out here at 9:30 and the trolley was here, just almost ready to take off. Oh, here's our 10 o'clock trolley. Let's get on. It's about an hour and a half or so. Oh, wait.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Shoot, I forgot my sticker. Shoot.
You are the only. Looks like somebody's behind you. That's great. Thanks very much. Where are you guys from? Oh, lovely. Welcome.
Morning. I have my sticker in here. I forgot my sticker.
Okay.
Put on my sticker.
Thank you very much.
Let's get a seat. Okay. There's a sticker that I put on so I don't have to show my receipt or whatever. Sorry about that. So I'm gonna put that on.
North Carolina. Yes, they just went down in last December.
sticker.
That's great. Thanks very much.
Alright. Let's have, oh, sorry. My big bag hitting people.
We're not
Okay.
Obviously, I was running a few minutes.
I'm gonna put this down for a minute.
For the same reason, actually. It's funny because I was kind of sitting right on that. Oh, yeah. Yes. Well, I guess it's just a trolley tour. Yeah. Yeah, but then you don't really look at past that, right? Yeah. Yeah. Where are you from?
Better not come off. The sticker better not come off.
Where are you from? No. I only know. Oh yes, that's right. We need to do that. Yeah. Oh, okay. No, we have relatives down in Powell, which is probably near Detroit. And where are you from?
Oh, Toronto.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Around a lot of Toronto people. Yeah, I was in Toronto for something so I thought I'd
Hey, Joseph.
Yeah, it's a great way to see the city, that's for sure.
Well, I have my raincoat. It was raining.
Yes, you don't want to end up back in.
Picard is here. T, Joseph, Emily, welcome.
Yes.
So we get a hop on, hop off booklet so I can get stamped and everything.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know.
And then, before we get started,
Yeah.
get on.
Yes, they're very clean.
I know, I do such a good job, don't I? Yeah. Just before we get on the road, I'd just like to talk to people a little bit about this area here that the Kingston Waterfront basically 200 to 300 years ago. It
You
was
hear the lady?
actually a pre-industrial down here. This was a huge trade area for what they called Upper Canada.
Let me know if you can hear.
There were docks and wharfs out here. Big trade ships were coming in. They were coming up the St. Lawrence. It was very difficult to navigate back then. So they had special ships that were coming up. They would dump their goods in big warehouses along here. And then the ships were coming and going up and down the Great Lakes to take them to wherever they needed to go. There was also a railway system that started right here at Confederation Park. And it went for 100 miles right up to Pembroke, Ontario. They called it the Kingston Pembroke line, which, you know, made sense for sure. But it was also nicknamed the Kick and Push, because that's apparently back then, that's how you had to get it started, with a little kick and a little push. Now down near the end of the street was where the Canadian Locomotive works, a huge industry here in the city. During their time, they made over 3,000 engines. And one of them was this one right here, the spirit of the Sir John A. from 1913 to 1960. This was in service and then retired it, made it look all pretty, so we have a great photo op. The children love it, as you can imagine. And everybody's been the eye in Kingston. You see the eye is missing in the Kingston name? That's your job to be the eye, right? Okay? It's not just for visitors, it's for, I've done it 3 times. And you see where the gentleman's standing there, that's your job. You have to be the eye as well. Get your picture taken. So I'm taking you across the street here. This is one of the oldest buildings in downtown Kingston, the Prince George Hotel. This was started out as a private home, then they applied for a tavern license and became one of 136 taverns in downtown Kingston. The population was only around 5,000, so not very many thirsty people back then, for sure. Always been a hot tavern and a pub in the modern. The Cannon office created a cocktail restaurant in there. And then above, was a years ago, and they renovated it all
Loft apartments, guys.
now back over here across the street again, this is Kingston City Hall. This was built in 1844 by George Brown. They asked him to build a market and a town hall. But the building itself has also been banks, theaters, churches, another tavern, police station. There are still jail cells in the bottom, and also the first school of medicine for women. 1893. Now, you can do tours of City Hall. I am not sure if it's open today, being a holiday Monday. It depends upon what their rules are. But it's from 1 until 4. You get to go up the steps anytime during the day, make arrangements, and it's free. It's a free tour.
Oh, free tour. Wow.
Now,
Maybe
back across the street,
tomorrow,
this is
maybe.
Confederation Park, and this is where everything happens in downtown Kingston in the summer. Canada Day was all down here. We had the buskers here a few weeks ago. If anybody was here on Saturday and Sunday, the poker run was going on. The big speedboats were here,
missed
which
that.
is a huge event. Brings in about 40 to 50,000 people into the city.
I missed that.
Lots of outdoor concerts, festivals, things like that. And I guess that's it. If you guys were here for the poker run, it's fact the boats were here. Yeah. Oh, sorry. The visitor center here. This was the train station for the kick and push. And in behind the visitor center in the water was a big circular building. I don't know if you've seen it. This is a Martello Tower. And we have 4 of them in Kingston.
I couldn't fit the
when
weather
you do the tour, you will
in the
go by
title.
all 4 of the Martello Towers.
It is 18
Now we're going to
Celsius.
get on the road. I'll talk to you a little bit more about them as we're traveling. So this is the first one, Shoal Tower, and we're going to head out. Any questions before we hit the road? If it starts to rain, what I think I'm going to do is probably put down the big window and people will move over. It gets so hot in here that if the windows are down, so we'll just have everybody either move to the front or move over to the side window. It's just so much better to have people. All right. No questions?
What is the holiday?
Pardon me?
What's the holiday?
It's the Oxford Witness. It's Ontario and Manitoba, I think, have it. It's not a federal. It's a provincial. And I know some people call it. Some real places are open, some aren't. It's just very, very random. Very random.
Civic holiday. Yeah, this cost me about $50-ish. So why not? I should show you.
All right. Everybody hear me okay?
Perfect.
Yes, okay. Give me
Better.
a shout if it gets too loud. And again, if it
No.
starts to rain and people are getting wet, we will just pull over where it's safe.
I have new sunglasses. got these at not this the one the other.
Alright, so as we go by, you'll be able to see Shoal Tower again, the Martello Tower close to us in the water. And then across the Cataraqui River, there is Fort Frederick. That's on the Royal Military College property, and we'll be going through that and by it in just a couple of minutes. And then down at the bottom of the hill are the cruise boats, 1, 2, and 3 hour cruises out of there. Lunch cruises and dinner cruises also. And on the right-hand side, the Lone Star Restaurant is where our first fire station was in the city from 1883 to 1960, and they had the steam fire engines in there back then. On the left-hand side, this is the Smith and Robinson building. This was built in the early 1800s by the same gentleman, George Graham, who built Kingston City Hall. Now, it was the largest piano factory in North America, and also made wagons and buggies in there. Barracks during the First World War. We had a department store in there for 60 years. And now Milestone's Restaurant is in the bottom. It's a great place for dinner if you're looking for something. And the office is in the top now. And on the right-hand side, this is the Wolf Island Ferry dock. The Wolf Island Ferry goes over to Wolf Island, which is the largest of the 1,000 islands. And the ferry's a free ride over. You can walk or drive on, but walking on it doesn't really end up anywhere. On the right-hand side, this is Fort Frontenac. This is what they call the British fort. On the left, you can see the remains of the French fort here. This was built by the Indigenous and the French in the 1600s. British came along in the 1700s and burnt it down. And here, this fort here. Everybody wanted to control the very wealthy fur trade that was going on in the Kingston area. This is now Canadian military. It's training center for officers, staff college, and overnight accommodations.
It's breezy.
And we are crossing the Cataraqui River. On the right-hand side, to go east is the beginning of the St. Lawrence River. Going west is the start of Lake Ontario. And right there is where the three bodies of water meet. On the left-hand side, about 5 kilometers north, is the beginning of the Rideau Canal system. That bridge that we just crossed over actually is a lift bridge. It lifts up to 90 degrees and lets all of the larger boats go through. It was built in 1917 and designed by the same people who designed the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. Now this is
Right.
the military college property. This is the Memorial Arch beside us on the right-hand side. This is in memory of the cadets who have lost their lives defending Canada all over the world. And their names are engraved on the arch as well as
Hey, Don.
around it. Now the college first opened up in 1876. There were 18 students in here. We now have just under 2,000 students attending the college. Very difficult college to get into. They look for high marks, leadership qualities, and the willingness to learn to read, write, and speak both English and French. Now tuition and books are free for the cadets.
Oh, Fort
They
Henry.
graduate with a university degree as officers in the Canadian military. And they're then expected to join the military for the next 5 years.
So I don't know if I'm gonna want to take the ride in, and then I don't know if I'm gonna like get off, hop on, because it is hop on, hop off.
Good morning. Thanks very much.
Good morning.
Now, before this was the Royal Military College, this was the Royal Naval Yard from the 1770s to the 1850s. This area beside us on the left-hand side where the sports fields are, this was actually water during the Navy Yard times. And the body of water that's out there beside us is called Navy Bay. And across Navy Bay is West Tower. And West Tower is a modified Martello Tower. It's attached to the dry ditch that goes all the way around Fort Henry up at the top of the hill. And then when this Hay. Now coming up on the left-hand side, you can see the teepee beside us. This is a wellness center for the Indigenous cadets on campus. And as we travel through, you're going to see some military artifacts. You can see the tank right there. Down at the bottom of the hill through the trees next to the water, there's a black torpedo on the right-hand side. On the left, back on the left-hand side, some anti-aircraft guns. Now these military artifacts are from the graduating classes of the college. This is a military, this is an RMC tradition, a college tradition. They go out when they arrive looking for different interesting things to donate to the college. The building on the left is one of the student residence. There are 6 of them on campus. In front of us you can see the parade square, and we are not allowed to go through there across the parade square, but we are going all the way around the point and we will end up at the other side. Now on the right-hand side, this is another one of the student residence. On the left-hand side, this is a combination. There's student residence right beside us. There's also the education portion of some of the education portion of the college, classrooms, offices, as well as a couple of cafeterias. And the cadets are expected to live on campus while they're attending the college. And the older buildings, these are from the early 1900s. Now, not a bad view, not a great day for a view, but you can see Shoal Tower there again, the Martello Tower where we first started. Kingston City Hall is the building with the black roof and the black dome there with the white trim around it. And through the trees on the left-hand side, you can see Fort Frederick, and we're going around. Keep looking left and we'll get a better view, a better look at it. Now,
I can't help the wind.
Towers on, in Kingston were built in the mid-1940s. Little tension going on between Canada and the United States. So they built the Martello Towers to protect the naval yard, to protect the city, the waterfront, and most importantly, the trade that was going on that was so critical for the area. But as usual, everything was settled peacefully, and the Kingston Martello Towers have never seen any kind of conflict whatsoever. And that's another good thing. Across the St. Lawrence River right beside us, this is Wolf Island. This is where the ferry goes. You can actually just see the ferry coming through or going away. I'm not sure which way it's going right there. And then again on the right-hand side, you can see our third Martello Tower. Don't forget to look left. Sorry, there's Fort Frederick again. But this is Cathcart Tower on the right. Now Cathcart Tower is on Cedar Island. Cedar Island is managed by the St. Lawrence Parks Commission. You can only get there by boat, but you can camp or dock overnight if you like. Go over for day trips, picnics, things like that.
Can you stop us a second?
We will take a picture of the Passchendaele.
Oh,
My parents are from Passchendaele.
no
Yeah.
way. No way. Hang on, I'm just going to back up.
Let her back up. Just stay seated.
You want to get out?
Just to take a picture of the
Absolutely. Go ahead.
We are from there.
Uh-huh.
Hang on. Oh, there we go. Oh.
I'm going live on IG to try to draw some people
There
in.
you go. Watch for traffic coming around.
Sorry, where are you from?
Belgium.
Belgium,
And
nice.
Passchendaele, that was
Oh,
a small village
small village.
in the
Yes.
center of the front where the militaries
No,
have.
actually, there seems to be a group.
there was
They've been
much
here all
more
summer.
there.
I think
It's
kind of
very
like
known.
sailing lessons. I
And
think
my
they do
parents
for
were
a week
born
or 2
there.
weeks
Oh,
at a time.
nice.
They're kind of younger
Oh,
people.
Belgium. Okay.
Oh no, that's fine. We're not on any schedule.
That's,
Yeah, so they are actually some kind of a lessons or some kind of sailing lessons are going on there. They're probably around 14, 15 years old. So across the field, on
Blame
the
it on
left-hand
Mother
side, you can see
Nature,
front
the
of
wind.
these,
It's not, it's
beautiful
out of my
limestone
control.
buildings, again from the early 1900s. I always think they remind me of Hogwarts.
And I hope the
from Harry
signal is
Potter.
okay. There's a
On the right-hand side, this is the officers' mess. Military functions in here. Members are also allowed to use it for weddings and receptions, private functions, things like that. Beautiful view, as you
Look
can
at
see
that.
across. Now across the parade square here on the left-hand side, this is the Mackenzie Building. Now the Mackenzie Building was built in 1878. If it looks kind of familiar, it was actually designed by one of the same people who designed the Parliament buildings in Ottawa. This was actually built for residents and classrooms, and they still have some of that going on in there today. And you can see the clock up at the very top there. Somehow the cadets climbed up there and they painted a Mickey Mouse face on there. So it was a Mickey Mouse clock for a while. On the right-hand side, this is the stone frigate. This was built in 1820. It was a storage area, warehouse. Then when they opened up the college, it became the residence and classrooms for the first 18 students that were here. And they nicknamed it Spider Hall. And if you look at the doorway here at the end, on the right, yeah, that's why it's called Spider Hall.
welcome whoever's joining me on IG. I am
And we're back
going
to
to
Navy
on
Bay on the
YouTube,
right-hand
so
side.
come on to my
After the
YouTube
War of
channel, out and about with
1812, there was an
your
agreement
Visual
between
I'm not
Canada
going to be
and
on
the
IG
United
for long.
States to limit the
Trying
number of
to get
warships
people
that
to
were traveling
come
around
onto
the
my
Great Lakes.
live
So a
stream
number
for
of them
YouTube.
sat here in Navy Bay
Come
and they
on over
became
to
useless. And they actually
and
took 2 of them to the
get a
mouth
full-
of Navy Bay and they sunk them. And they're still down there today.
Full
They're
experience
popular
on my
for,
YouTube channel.
Scuba divers to go down and take a look at. Yeah, you can see the kids going in now. I think it's probably some kind of a camp. And across, if you can just catch a quick look, you can see West Tower again, a little bit closer look of it. Now the parking lot that's in front of us, this actually was water during the Navy Yard times. And underneath the parking lot there are a
Please join
couple
me
of
on my
sunken
YouTube
ships
channel.
as well.
I've just come
So
on
they
to
filled in around
IG
them
to
and put up a parking lot.
let everyone know I'm live on YouTube. Please come to Out and About with yours truly, Liz OC.
On the left-hand
We're live
side,
here in
these buildings
Kingston,
are all
Ontario.
classrooms and
Civic
offices for
Monday
cadets.
holiday-ish. And doing a lovely tour right now. Come in,
Now coming
you'll
up
get a
on the
fuller view
left-hand side,
on my
this is-
YouTube
we're
channel.
back to the Commandant's Home. When this was the Navy Yard, the naval surgeon lived here. It was also where the hospital
Damaris,
was. And
Damaris,
some
come on to my
well-known
YouTube
Canadians
channel.
graduated
I'm
from
live.
the Royal Military College.
Get a fuller
Three
view
astronauts
on my live
that
stream
are kind of
on
famous.
YouTube.
Mark Garneau, who's also a politician. Chris Hadfield, who was probably one of the
John
first
is
people
on.
to
Hi,
sing
John.
and play guitar in
Welcome.
space. And then Jeremy Hansen, who will be our first Canadian to go around the moon. So that's kind of exciting. And then from the First World War, Flying Ace Billy Bishop. He was a well-known fighter pilot during the First World War. And this street beside us is named for him. This is also where our Canadian flag was designed in 1966 by Dr. George Stanley and a couple of the cadets from the Arts and Science program.
I did not know that.
And again, on the right-hand side, if you're looking at the end of the field,
Jeremy
you can see
is
there are
here.
2 tanks there. The far right tank is
Where am I looking?
Leopard tank from Germany, and the close one to us is on the bridge is a Sherman tank from the United States. And again, they would have been gifts from the graduating classes.
What? Oh, I guess we just went right around. Cool.
All right, so we're heading up the hill to Fort Henry. It might get a little windy on the way up, okay? So just hang on to anything that might fly out.
Me. My fallout.
Had some pretty decent views. No sunshine today, unfortunately, but it's not too bad as far as visibility.
let people know.
Now, lots of fun stuff happens up here. They have the tours that go on every day. Sports events happen up here. They have some car shows. Beer fests go on as well. The sunset ceremonies have just started. The first one was on Saturday. This is where they have a big event.
Okay, I'm ending
Fort Henry
IG now.
Guard
Sorry,
come
I need my other
and
hand.
do a
Bye
military
guys,
tattoo
on
rifle
IG.
demonstrations.
Come on.
The cannons all get shot off. Lots of
There's
noise
Damaris.
goes on, and fireworks happen. A huge display of fireworks at the end. It's Wednesdays now for the month of August. Yeah. Anybody want to get off here? No, everybody's good. Anybody? Yeah, I can see pictures going on. Everybody's good. Half an hour.
Shall we get off here, guys? You want me to get off here? And then we can wait for another one.
I'm not sure. I think they're about an hour or just under an hour. And then you can just wander around bits and pieces. You just follow the pathway around and then go
but then
in.
we have to
Just
wait
where
a
those
half an
people are
hour.
going. You want to get up? Okay. You're welcome. Enjoy. It's actually, we're running late. It should be about 20 after. So the next one will be at 10 to. Yeah. You're welcome.
What are you talking about? There's no window. Oh, yeah.
Now, we spoke of the dry ditch that's attached to the fort that goes all the way around the fort. It's right beside us here. It's anywhere from 12 to 17 feet deep. And we are traveling over top of tunnels and jail cells. The fort was a prisoner of war camp during the First and the Second World War. And another great view across the water there. That's Cathcart Tower, Cedar Island, and then Wolf Island again in the background. The Great Hall beside us, this is very popular for weddings and receptions. Businesses use it for different conferences and business dinners. And just another great view on the right-hand side. Now, just a little bit rocky at the back there. Just hang on.
Ruben is here. Hi, Ruben.
There we go. Now, the community beside us on the right-hand side, this is Canadian Forces Base Kingston. There's about 5,000 military personnel and families live on base. And some more great views on the left-hand side as we head down the hill.
Look at that.
Now, my dad was accepted into RMC in 1948, and he always told my sister and I the stories of the cannonballs. Now, around the campus are a number of stacks of cannonballs.
So, guys, let me know if you want me to get off on any of these and look around. I'm wanting to take a full ride, because I can go on again too, right? It's on, like, I have it for the day. So let me know. NFE is here. I'm good with staying on for now.
Now, in front of us, as we go down the hill across the road, this is all, again, Canadian Forces Base Kingston. The White Dome has a soccer field, rugby field, and an inside track in there. The building to the left is the Constantine Arena. This is public skating in there, as well as the cadets have their hockey games in there also. And the big building to the left of that is a huge sports complex. They have an Olympic-sized pool, basketball courts, tennis courts, workout rooms, all of those things to keep everybody in shape. And this is Canadian Forces Base Kingston, but this is also open to Kingstonians to use the facilities, which is a good thing. It's a huge, huge facility. Now we're heading out to the Military Museum. That'll be our next stop, and we are running a little bit behind, but we'll catch up eventually. Coming up on the left-hand side as we're going up the hill, this is a lovely little historical village called Berryfield. It's a nice little walk around here. There's plaques around the village telling you a little bit of
Sorry for the wind, guys. But
and the buildings as well. And all of this stuff that we're here on the sides, this is all limestone. the St. Lawrence and Lake Ontario all meet. The other meant place of mud and limestone. And Kingston actually sits on a bed of limestone. So this is where the name came from, obviously. This is also part of the reason why we have some beautiful limestone buildings in the city. It's a very natural building choice. Then the French came along in the 1600s and they kept the name Cataraqui, but because of the language difference when they took over, they changed the spelling. And this is the common spelling that we use today in the city. Then the British came along in the 1700s and they changed it to Kingstown. And this was named for King George III. And then within a year they shortened it to Kingston. So that's a little bit of the history of the names of the city and the area have gone. Now as we go down this road, on the property on both sides of this is all Canadian military.
I hope the signal's gonna be good.
Side, you'll see some homes. These are homes for the military personnel and families. Down at the
Al is here. Hi, Al.
This is a communications and signals area of the fort, or sorry, of the base. And then on the left-hand side, this is where the Royal Engineers portion of the base is. Also on the left, they have some sports fields. They also have a golf course and a curling rink in there. Now, because of the naval yard being here, the trade that was going on in the city, was a huge population in the city in Kingston. During this time, it was the most populated city in Upper Canada, which was called back then. This became a very natural area for the military to be, so that they could have some supply protection for the naval yard and the trade that was coming up on the left-hand side, this is where the museum is, the military museum. And it is open from 10 until 4 today. It's been very positive results. A lot of people have very enjoyed it. Some people say a half hour, some people say about an hour. Depends on what your interests are.
McGill is here. City Emerald is here. Welcome.
Now, the military museum is full of military historical artifacts.
Welcome back to my
that
channel.
were used during wartime and peacetime. Equipment, technology. There's some uniforms in here as well, and
I don't know.
a couple of vehicles.
These, I think you have to pay for to get in.
Everybody staying on?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. We're just going to keep on going. We're going to try and get caught up here. Now, I'm a military brat. That's what we're called when we have a parent in the military. My dad worked in signals over here. So we were back and forth to Kingston quite often. One of the times we were here, I was just an early teenager. We lived on base, and my dad was able to buy a very, very small cabin cruiser. Very small. And he decided that it was going to be an awful lot of fun for all of us to go on the cabin cruiser for 4 or 5 days. Now, the gatehouse that's in front of us here, this was a controlled access when we were living on base. And so my dad, so this is the trip. So it's my sister, myself, my mom, my dad, my cat, my dog. 5 minutes to get to the boat, just down at the end of the street. The cat has to pee. So my dad stops at the gate, hangs the cat out the window. She does the things that she's supposed to do. In comes the cat, and the guard at the gate is looking at my dad, and my dad just looks at him and he says, "It's a catastrophe." So that's a real dad joke.
But I'm bummed.
Now, some of you may be aware, some of you maybe not. Kingston was actually the first capital of Canada from 1841 to 1843. And then Queen Victoria got a little bit prerogative. We can change our mind as many times as we want. And she did. Now, when we were crossing the bridge coming over to this side, I had mentioned the Rideau Canal, the Rideau Canal system starting at the end of the Cataraqui River. This was an idea of Colonel Nye and the Royal Engineers. They were very concerned for the trade ships that were going up and down the St. Lawrence River, full of all of this valuable goods and not really very much protection. So they decided that they needed another water access for ships that were going to Montreal. And this is why the Rideau Canal system was built. Now it took 5 years to build. They finished building it in 1832. It's 202 kilometers long and ends at right downtown Ottawa. It was really quite an architectural marvel during the day. They had to create canals that would connect rivers and lakes to have the whole system that was continuous from Kingston to Ottawa. And so now it has 47 locks on it, and it also has one of the largest dams in North America on it, about 30 miles up the system at Jones Falls. You can still do the whole trip if you like, from Kingston to Ottawa. The people that I've spoken with say about a week by private boat is the right amount of time. And it is a beautiful trip, as you can imagine. Just in some lovely towns. The scenery is incredible. Even doing little bits and pieces of it, it's definitely worth it if you get the opportunity. And a lot of people, when it was being built, lost their lives during the time. And one of the biggest reasons was malaria, which is really something that we don't think about on our continent, which is very, very good.
Is this better that the wind control is better, I think.
Now when we get to the bottom of the hill, we'll be going by the Royal Military College again on the left-hand side. In September, they have a huge obstacle course that takes up the whole campus. It's a huge, huge thing that goes on. It's on the reunion weekend, the RMC reunion weekend. Now this is for the first year cadets, part of a team building program, a little bit of initiation as well, but a team building exercise mostly, and they help each other through all of the obstacles to get to the very end. Now it is a huge, as I said, it can take the cadets up to 3.5 hours to do the obstacle course. So some very, very fit young people here, obviously. And the event is actually open to the public if you're in the neighborhood and are interested. I've seen bits and pieces of it, and it's really quite something. Now we're going back across the bridge. Before 1917, this bridge was a wooden bridge, and it had a swing bridge like this to let all the boats go through. And they called it the Penny Bridge. And this was because they charged people a penny to come into the city. And what they wanted to stop was all of the shipwrights that were going in and spending their money in the taverns, causing all kinds of problems. But this didn't deter very many people. They actually wanted to save the penny, and they swam across the Cataraqui River to head into the taverns. Now, on the left-hand side, across the water, you can see the Blue Hotel there. That is the Holiday Inn. And beside it, there is a dock. And in 1840, there was a ship that was there, and sparks were coming out of the smokestack. The sparks come to a grain warehouse that was right beside it. The fire quickly spread around to anything flammable, including a storage area for gunpowder that exploded. By the time they were able to get the fire out the next day, they discovered that all of the wooden buildings within 13 blocks of the fire were completely destroyed. The wooden buildings were gone. So they very quickly made a bylaw to prohibit the building of anything wooden in downtown Kingston. And this is another reason why we have some beautiful limestone buildings as well as some great brick buildings in this city. Now coming up again on the right hand side is the Leon Center, another limestone building, quite new. They finished building this in 2009, and when they were building it, this is when they discovered the wall from the French fort. So they had to restructure the Leon Center. That's why we have the rounded end there beside us. Now this is the Elton John's been there, Bob Dylan, Cirque du Soleil, Ringo Starr, so pretty big names for Kingston. But what we Kingstonians remember it most for is the last concert of the Tragically Hip. And I don't know if you're familiar with this band, but they're a fairly well-known band, and they are all from Kingston.
Here we go. Hi.
They were born and raised here. So it was a very, very big deal in the city. The Prime Minister came down for it, and in behind City Hall, they put up a great, big, huge screen, and we were all able to go down to the market and watch the live concert. It was really quite an event. And it was actually filmed all across Canada, so it was really very exciting.
Or AM still, not PM. Hi Paul, welcome.
You're coming up on the right-hand side, the Waterfront beside us. This your ticket will give you $5 off if you spend $25 or more. A lot of interesting, different kind of souvenirs in there as well.
Oh, we gotta go souvenir shopping.
Souvenirs, yes, lots and lots of things in there. Actually, it's got some interesting things in there as well. All right, so this is the Springer Market stop. I'm just going to pull over for a second. We're almost caught up on time here. This is what I call the town stop. Everybody's staying on? Yes? Okay. So if you decide to get off and don't want to go over to the other side, this is a great spot to get on. It'll take you all through the rest of the museums in just a little bit shorter time. Now this is Springer Market beside us on the left-hand side, in behind City Hall here beside us. Springer Market is the oldest running market in Canada. First started up in 1801, and we still have it going on today, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Saturdays and actually Sundays is the Indigenous market if you were here yesterday. A lot of local artisans bring in their huge talents and beautiful jewelry and stonework. Just incredible things to see. A lot of produce from the local farmers, flowers, homemade jams, jellies, things like that, honey, also some home-baked goods. And in the olden days, this is where the fur trade would have been going on, butchers and fishermen bringing up their different meats and fish of the day. And coming up on the right-hand side, Morrison's Restaurant. This is a very great diner-style restaurant. Good food in here. Been here for over 100 years. Very reasonable prices. Above the keg is the Kingston Week Standard building. The Kingston Week Standard is the oldest running English newspaper in Canada. And again, coming up on the right, just past it here, the Customs House built in 1840. Still Canada Customs going on in there today. And beside us again on the right-hand side, this is St. George's Cathedral. Beautiful limestone building, as you can see. First was built as a wooden church, and they also had a fire, lost everything. And then this was in the 1700s. They rebuilt it in the late 1820s. And in order for Kingston to become a city, we had to have a cathedral. So this was the British influence that was going on. And so we have St. George's. On the left-hand side, we have another lovely limestone building built in the 1840s, the Empire Life Building. I was based in a school for boys there. A lovely hotel here, built in the 1840s, the Frontenac Club. The buildings
We were
on
inside the
right-hand
Frontenac.
side, you can see some of them have a brass plaque on them. The plaque designates a heritage building in the city, It'll tell you the year the building was built, possibly who lived there, or what the building was used for. And if you get the chance, it's a really nice walk along here. You can see there's some beautiful gardens, and some
walked
people
this
have
yesterday.
some lovely gardens in the back as well. You can kind of sneak a peek down the alleyways. On the right-hand side, this is Cartwright House, built in the early 1800s. Sir Richard Cartwright was born in here in 1835. He was a well-known politician, apparently very popular as well, in Kingston and then in Ottawa. Now, when we first started out, I talked about the Canadian Locomotive Works, and that was actually right here where the apartment building is beside us, across the street on the left. When they the apartment building, they found all kinds of artifacts, and so a lot of them are in the lobby of the apartment building, which is kind of cool. Now, this is our next stop. We're just a minute behind now, so this is great. This is the, oh, look at the beautiful yacht there, my mind. So this is the Marine Museum. Everybody staying on still?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Marine Museum, this is a great museum as well. You can see the very end, you can see a warehouse, one of the original warehouses from the early 1800s. So this is kind of gives you a little bit of a look at what was going on, what the buildings look like down here.
Sorry, I'm just trying to. I need to plug in.
Now, this is another museum for the Marine Museum stop. Beside us on the left is the Pump House Museum. Right now they have Art of Survival, and this is a display regarding the Kingston Women's Penitentiary. Now, the Pump House itself was built in 1830. There was a huge cholera outbreak that happened in the city. 1 in 16 Kingstonians died from cholera. So they built it to filter the water coming out of Lake Ontario. This was actually the first time that water was pumped into private homes as well. Now, coming down this street, some beautiful buildings on the left-hand side. As you can see, lovely gardens in this home. These would be from the early to mid-1800s. Railway people, bankers, government people as well. Beautiful limestone, but my personal favorite is here on the left-hand side. Yeah, they just finished renovating last year back into a private home. And if you're interested, it is now for sale. It's been up for sale for a couple of weeks now. $23 million.
Sure. Is that all?
Yeah, it's just yeah. We could probably just pool our money, right?
Sure.
That's what I've got in my purse, I'm sure. Yes. But it does have an indoor pool, a 2-story library, and a 2-lane bowling alley in there. So they're all set up for the next pandemic.
Charging.
So this is our next stop. We are caught up here. On the left-hand side through the trees, a little hard to see because of the trees. This is our last Martello Tower. This is Murney Tower. And Murney Tower is a museum. Very interesting. This particular tower goes 6 stories underground. And the stairs are only about this wide, just to give you a heads up. When people have said if you're a little claustrophobic, definitely not the place to go down. Now, when the Martello Towers were first built, the roof that you see there was removable, and inside on the top floor was a rail system, and this was for the tenants so that they could shoot 360 degrees. Now, the Martello Towers have approximately 750,000 limestone bricks in them, and the walls can be anywhere from 8 to 15 feet thick. So definitely something that's going to be stopping a cannonball. They were also set up to be self-sufficient. People could live in there for a certain amount of time just in case there was any conflict going on. All right, so we're going to head out again. Yeah. And this is McDonald Park, the green space that's beside us. And all of the water beside us and in front of us, this is Lake Ontario.
Joseph, what are you saying?
And there, if you look left, you can see Murney Tower a little bit better. Kingston General Hospital. This is a teaching hospital with Queen's University here in the city. Cancer research goes on in here, treatment as well. Great neonatal clinic in the hospital, as well as a wonderful heart clinic. And the Kingston General has about 500 beds in it. We're very fortunate to have this for the area. Now coming up on the left-hand side as we get through the light, this is Breakwater Park, also called Richardson Beach. The pathway that you see there runs all the way along the Kingston waterfront. It actually starts where we started at Confederation Park, and again for 8 kilometers along the waterfront, and it's completely accessible, which is a great thing. Now the park, you can see, is a beautiful park. They finished all of the work on it about 5 years ago. There's stairs to get into the water there, picnic tables. The statue that you see there on the left-hand side, the statue is called Time. And the rumor was, when they put it in, that it would eventually move closer together and touch. And they measured it a few years ago, and it's actually 12 inches further apart. So that didn't work out. Now at the end of the park here on the left-hand side, this is the Gord Edgar Downey Memorial here. This is named for Gord Downey Jr., who was the lead singer of the Tragically Hip. You can see there's a sandy beach there. There's stairs to get in. Deep water access on the other side for diving, putting in different water sport things. And in the very center of it, there is a ramp for a wheelchair to get into the water as well. Now on the right-hand side coming up, these are what's known as Hale's Cottages. Mr. Hale built these in the early 1840s, and he rented these out to government officials. These would be some of the people that were coming through when we were the capital of Canada. Now, Mr. Hale had his fingers in lots and lots of real estate. He had a home right here beside us. This was built in the early 1800s. Now, another home here, beautiful home on the left-hand side. This is Elmhurst, built in 1811. Lovely home there. Beside us now, this is Bellevue House.
Where? Sorry.
Right here on the right-hand side. So it's a little hard to see through all of the trees. Now, Bellevue House was built by Mr. Hale in the 1830s. He lived there for a couple of years. Now, what we have is a historical building, a historical home. It is where our first Prime Minister, Sir John A. Macdonald, lived for a couple of, or just over a year. He and his family moved out here. His wife was very, very sick. So they hoped that being in the country air, being close to the water would help. But unfortunately, this was a very sad spot for them. They lost a 13-month-old child while they were living here, and she died very shortly after. Now, this is under all kinds of renovation right now. You can't go. You are able to walk around the grounds. You can also, coming up is the Visitor Center. They have some artifacts in there from the home, as well as a display of Indigenous artwork. And this is all free right now to go in if you're interested.
We'll do that later. I just want to experience this ride.
Anybody want to get out here? Yes? No?
We'll do it after.
And you saw all of those apple trees through there. There's 17 different kinds of apples in there. All right, so we're going to go. Everybody's got your pictures. You're good? Now this area that we're traveling through now, this is one of Kingston's first subdivisions actually. The wealthy people downtown were tired of all the industry, the noise, the grime, the smoke, so they thought moving out here would be much more peaceful for them. So it became a very, very popular area. Mixture of old and new through here. Now coming up on the left-hand side is Burberry Cottage. There's lots of work going on in this. They've been working on this for a number of years, trying to get it back to the historical look. This was built in 1840. Beautiful home, as you can see. And again, on the left-hand side, this is the Beth Israel Synagogue. Now we're going to be turning left. This is Union Street in front of us, and we're heading out to the penitentiaries. If we were to turn right, we would head through Queen's Campus and end up at the Frontenac County Courthouse. And in the olden days, they used to take the prisoners, march them down this street to the courthouse, and then march them back again. Now coming up on the left-hand side, this is the back of St. Mary's of the Lake Hospital. This was built in the early 1800s as a school for Catholic girls, then became an orphanage and a hospital. This was all run by the nuns, then became palliative care and rehab hospital for the city. They closed most of it down a couple of years ago and moved everybody to a brand new hospital just a couple of miles from here. And on the right-hand side, this is the Donald Gordon Conference Center beside us. This home was actually built in 1801 as a country home. Beautiful building in there, as you can see. Now through the trees here on the right-hand side, there are three very large red brick buildings. Hard to see right now with all the trees.
Yeah.
Now these are heritage buildings. They were originally on Queen's campus, and Queen's didn't want them there anymore. So they picked them up, but they put them on flatbed trucks, moved them all the way through the city. Now they had to take down wires and telephone poles. The buildings are like 30 feet by 40 feet, so they're huge, huge buildings. It was quite an event, as you can imagine. The buildings, it took 2 days to move them. Buildings were $1 each and $100,000 to move the buildings. Now here, we're supposed to be going down the street that's parallel to us, but it's all stopped. If you look through the trees, through the two homes there, you can see the Kingston Women's Penitentiary. As we travel down, you'll be able to catch another couple of looks. I'm just going to let these people go by before we get going. The Women's Penitentiary opened up in 1935 and closed down in 2000. It was the only women's penitentiary in Canada, and it then became known as the most violent prison in the country. And this was because of the overcrowding. If you go to the Penitentiary Museum, you can look in behind the museum and you can see the Women's Penitentiary. It really isn't very big. Now it has been bought by a construction group, and they are going to make it into hotels, condominiums, and a seniors residence. Going down the hill, this is going to be our next stop, which is the Penitentiary. On the left-hand side is the Penitentiary. This opened up in 1836 and closed down in 2013. On the right-hand side, you can see a beautiful building here, the limestone building. This is called Cedar Edge.
Right, left. I can't do this.
Is anybody getting off here?
No.
No? Okay, I don't see anybody here, so we're just going to keep on. Oh, maybe there is.
So will you be when you drop us off back, like, will you come through this again? Or
Yeah,
how does
there's
it
a
work?
trolley that picks up every half hour.
Yeah, okay. But if we stay on here, like, will you take us back over?
We'll end up going back downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
They don't look like they're going on. Okay. So when the penitentiary first opened up, all of the wardens were expected to live inside the penitentiary, in behind the walls. One of the wardens had small children, was a single dad, and he requested not to have to live in there. So they ended up building him Cedar Head. It then became the home for the wardens for the next 60 years. On the left-hand side, this is the Portsmouth Olympic Harbor. This is where the 1976 Sailing Olympics were held. We also have Cork here every year, which is Canadian Olympic Regatta Kingston. Sailors come from all over the world to learn how to sail and to compete. Apparently we have some of the best winds in the world out there for sailors. Now this area that we're coming into, this is Portsmouth Village. This was settled by British loyalists in the 1770s. And the area that we're traveling beside on the left-hand side, this was actually a lot of water was here, and they filled the rest of it in to make it usable land. The building beside us on the left-hand side, this is the original town hall, built in the early 1800s.
So this cost
Now,
me
again, when the
$54.
penitentiary was first
and
built,
24
all of
cents.
the prison guards were expected to live within earshot where they could hear the emergency bell of the penitentiary. So a lot of them would have lived in this community. They were expected to drop whatever they were doing and head in to help out with whatever crisis was going on in there. Now, the youngest person on record to be in the penitentiary was an 8-year-old boy. He and his brothers were part of the pickpocket gang out of Montreal. They ended up getting 3 years. This is back when they treated children and adults the same for whatever crime was committed. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the book Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood. This is a Canadian author. This is actually based on a true story about Grace Marks. Grace Marks was 16 years old. She and her partner James McDermott were convicted of murder, and she ended up getting life in the penitentiary, and her partner James McDermott was hung. She was paroled after 30 years, and nobody knows what happened to her after that. Now they do tours of the penitentiary every day, and some of the tours are done by some of the former prison guards.
Wow.
Now I'm going to tell you a story of the dumbest prisoner that was in here. Yeah. So this was in the early 1900s, and he was in the prison, did his time, was released, and he ran out of money. And he knew where they kept the money in the penitentiary, so he actually broke back in. So up the wall, down the wall, ended up getting the money, started back up the wall, and his rope broke. So he fell back into the penitentiary. They did a head count the next morning, discovered that they had an extra person in there, and they let him stay for another 18 months. So many things wrong with that story. So many things. Now coming up on the right-hand side behind the iron fence here, a beautiful Tudor-style home beside us, built in the early 1900s. When this was built, it had 18 bedrooms. Another beautiful mansion here on the right-hand side. This is Mortonwood. This was built in the early 1800s. This was owned by James Morton. He actually owned the largest brewery in North America in the 1830s, 1840s, and that was this property right beside us. And a lot of these buildings are the original brewery buildings. Now the Isabel Bader Center for Performing Arts, a beautiful theater building in there. On the left-hand side, you can see the front of St. Mary's of the Lake Hospital. This was bought by Queen's University. They finished renovating it last spring. It's now a
Good thing it's not
research
busy
and
here.
learning
That's why
center
I'm
for
seat
the
hopping, window
university.
hopping.
In the olden days, when the nuns ran the hospital, They would come down to the shores of Lake Ontario beside us, looking for the immigrants who had been left by the ships. And if you know the stories, especially the Irish immigrants, a lot of them didn't make it across the ocean. A lot of them arrived very, very sick. So the nuns would take them back up to the hospital and take care of them. Across the water here, again, that's Wolfe Island. As I said, the largest of the 1,000 islands, 27 miles long, about 9 miles across. There are 86 wind turbines on that island, and they supply power to over 75,000 homes in the Kingston area. The population of Wolfe Island is about 1,400 permanent residents, and then in the summertime with the cottagers that come, it increases to about 5,000. Now we're coming into Queen's campus. Queen's first started up in 1841, about 4 or 5 blocks from here in a wooden framed house. And this area now that we're going through, this is all student residents. There are 17 of them on Queen's campus, and we have about 8,000 students that attend here. They are estimated they bring in between $9 and $10 million into the Kingston community. Coming up on the left-hand side, this is the largest of the students' residence. This is Victoria Hall. 750 students in here. And
Yeah,
if you
my
think
son-
about that, that would be 750
went
first
to
years, which
Queens.
means 750 teenagers under one roof. I've had 4 of them. I can't even think about it. Sterling Hall beside us on the right-hand side, physics. On the left, the gray building is Student Union. Excuse me, again on the left-hand side, Harrison LeCain Hall, the Music and Drama Center. They say if you look at it from Google Earth, it looks like a grand piano. And again on the left-hand side, this is the Agnes Etherington Art Center. And last year, they hosted graffiti artists, and this year we get to still enjoy. Isn't it fun? Just so much fun.
Can we stop here so we can take a picture?
Absolutely.
I'm not going to step out, but I just want to.
Yep.
I love graffiti.
Lots of fun stuff there.
Okay.
And then on
Got
the
it.
right-hand side, this is the
Oh, I see.
Banway Banquet Hall. This is the
Dino.
oldest
Dino the
cafeteria
dog.
and residence on campus. Now back to the Agnes. This is one of our stops. We're going to pull over here. This is a free museum. There are over 17,000 pieces of art in there from all over the world. Some very, very interesting displays. Now, before we go around the corner, the building right beside us across the street on the left-hand side, that is Kingston Hall. The one with the clock tower, that's Grant Hall. Now, those 2 buildings are about 165 years old. And after the First World War, they became emergency hospitals. This is for the injured soldiers when they came back, as well as victims of the Spanish flu. Now we just have a minute here. The field that's beside us here on the left-hand side, this is called Nixon Field, and this is over top of a 200-vehicle parking lot. And as I said, Queens first started up in 1841. Bounced around for about the next year and a half, and then Queen Victoria encouraged them to buy a permanent spot, was a huge supporter of the university. They ended up buying a beautiful home down here, along with 7 acres. Now we're going to be going by the home. It's a little challenging to see through the trees right now, but it is incredible, and I'll point it out to you as well. Look across the field on the left-hand side, you can see the front of Kingston Hall. Again, a beautiful limestone building. The one next to it is Theological, also about 165 years old. Again, incredible buildings. Now, on the right-hand side, we're at the front of the Kingston General Hospital. Coming up are the original buildings of the hospital. First opened up in 1839 as a public hospital. The first patients in here were actually Americans from the Battle of the Windmill that happened in Prescott. This is also where the first sitting of Parliament happened, in one of the boardrooms here. Sir John A. Macdonald, Alexander Campbell, and the opposition all got together talking about our Charter of Rights and us not being called British loyalists. So the home that I want to point out is on the left-hand side at the top of the hill. Very difficult to see, as I said,
Okay,
through
if
the
it's
trees.
difficult, I'm not gonna.
It's a beautiful building. This is a lovely walk. You can walk all through the campus, and it's beautiful buildings, beautiful campus, as you can see. Now, the building was built in 1800. It is the oldest building on Queen's campus.
So after this tour, we'll do lunch. That'll be the second live stream. And then
Now in front of us, this
And
is
we'll-
City Park.
if the
Down
weather's
at the end of the street on the
walkable,
right
we can
is
walk.
Murney Tower.
no,
And
after.
Murney Tower was our stop a few minutes ago. Now City Park, lots of festivals happening here. Queens uses it for a lot of different events. But when we were the capital of Canada, this is where Queen Victoria had planned on putting the Parliament buildings, the legislative buildings, and all of the government offices in here. But as I said, she changed her mind, and so we lucked out with a beautiful green space. Next weekend, if you're around, there's a huge art festival going on as well. And again, on the left-hand side, these are all Queen's buildings again. The Indigenous Center beside us. Queens takes up about 99 acres of Kingston. So again, a huge impact on the city. Now coming up on the left-hand side, this is the Frontenac County Courthouse. This is where I mentioned that they marched the prisoners down to the courthouse for their court time and took them back. Now this was built in the late 1840s to hold criminal trials, and we still have criminal trials going on in there today. In the olden days, if somebody was sentenced to death, they were hung in the gallows and behind there. And the registry building again on the left-hand side beside us, that has jail cells that are still used for holding centers for the holding areas for the more at-risk prisoners. So now coming up on the left-hand side, this is Kingston's castle. This is Macintosh Castle. Mr. Macintosh wanted his family to come to Canada, and they said, well, we're not coming unless you build us a castle. And so he said, okay. And he started to build them a castle. He ran out of money, so we have a little castle now.
Cute.
Last year it was for sale for $2.9 million.
2.9.
Now coming up again on
that's
the
nice.
left is the Hochelaga Inn. Beautiful breakfast in there. This was built in the 1830s for the niece of Sir John A. Macdonald, our first Prime Minister. And Sir John A. also lives here in the building on the right-hand side, the limestone
Carnation
building beside
Street
us.
housing.
They
or
figure
something.
he lived in about 14 different places in the city. Now, he did arrive here when he was 5 years old from Scotland, and he lived to be around 76 or 77, so lots of time to move
Ooh,
around.
look at this Rosemount.
On the left again, another beautiful bed and breakfast, the Rosemont Inn, again from the 1830s. Now looking across the street on the right-hand side, you can see the beautiful gardens. It's just always such a pleasure to look at. This is also another bed and breakfast called the Secret Garden. And if you're interested, you can probably rent a room in there, and you may be able to chat with the resident ghost.
Oh, no,
Got a little haunting going on. Now, on the right-hand side, this church is called the Spire. This was built in the 1840s. It's a community church and a community center now. On the left-hand side, you can see some low buildings we're going to be going by. A couple of them. They would have been carriage houses and servants' quarters for the larger homes that are in behind them. Some beautiful homes through here, as you can see.
Right, left.
Some of them are private homes still. A number of them have been split up into apartments. This is a very popular area for Queen's University.
He lives 72.
So now I would suggest, if you want pictures, go over to the left side. Is that the left side? So just scooch over. Yeah, and if you look up through the windows, you can see after the trees, you'll be able to see St. Mary's Cathedral. This is a beautiful building, as you can see. It is actually, well, they finished building it in 1849. It is actually built on the highest point in Kingston. It is the tallest building at 229 feet, and nothing in Kingston is supposed to be built taller than it. Now they do tours of the cathedral if you're interested. I would suggest going on the St. Mary's Cathedral website. There's probably contact or even tour times. It's an incredible building though. It just, you just wonder how they got everything
The
up
doors
there.
are open.
And even the rectory.
We'll
the
go
building
walk
next to
around
it.
after, maybe go into some of the
Everything's
buildings.
so straight. Now, across the street on the right-hand side, the pink building that you
Right,
see
left,
there,
right,
this is
left.
Elizabeth's Cottages. And this was built in the 1830s as a private home. A widow ended up buying this and opened her doors to other widows who were not able to stay in their family homes after their husbands had died. So they all stayed there and took care of each other. So this is now another stop here. Anybody want to get off here? Everybody's good? Okay. So we're just going to be
This is
turning back
Princess
down
Street.
Princess Street. On the
Ah.
left-hand side as we go around the corner, that's the St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church, the church for Sir John A. Macdonald. And his favorite bar was right here on the corner. Very handy for him. He was known to enjoy a drink or two. He was a real elbow bender back then. So this is Princess Street. This is probably our
Yeah, we
oldest
walked this
street in
a
the
bit
city.
yesterday.
And horses and buggies and wagons up and down this street. If you look up, you'll see some of the beautiful buildings. The James Reed Furniture Store coming up on the right-hand side. This building's 175 years old. Always been the James Reed Furniture Store, always been owned by the Reed family. So a real legacy in this city. The Grand Theater coming up again on the right-hand side. This was built in the 1890s as an opera house, and we still have concert and theater going on in there today. And again, don't forget to look up. Some of the buildings have the year that they were built. Some of them have the name of the company or the organization that built it. Lots of very interesting, different shops along this street. Just a little bit different than your mall stores. Lots and lots of restaurants. If you've been up the street, as you've probably seen. Kingston actually has the most restaurants per capita than any other city in Canada. So it's huge.
Oh, pop
And
it
if
right
you're
in
here
the
on Saturday, they have what they call the promenade. This is a huge, huge deal. They closed the street for 10 city blocks. It's a huge sidewalk sale. They have bouncy castles, face painting for children. Some of the local restaurants and pubs will hire live music so that people are able to just go enjoy a meal or have a drink, sit and relax for a little while. Lots and lots of fun. Now it was on Saturday. It happens again on the 23rd of September. It happens 3 times here in the city. It's very, very festive. Very festive. Lots of fun for everybody. And great sales. Great, great sales. Now, I always point these 2 restaurants out coming up on the right-hand side. Very popular with Kingstonians as well as visitors. The Toucan with the outdoor patio beside us on the right. And then down the alleyway is Chez
we walked
Piggy.
this last night.
Both of them have great menus, very, very good food as well. And Chez Piggy was actually started up by one of the band members of the Loving Spoonful. And his daughter still owns and manages the restaurant today. And coming up on the right-hand side, Chez Piggy and Toucan, just another access down the alleyway. If you end up going down the alley, make sure you listen. There's apparently a ghost down there, and she's asked you to help her find her bones. There's Jack Astor's beside us. Lots of fun with the rooftop patio up above. And we're back to Springer Market. On Thursday nights they have movie in the market night. But in the winter time this becomes a huge public skating rink. They have lights for night skating, music to skate by, fire pits all over the place. They do have a couple of hockey games, including they do a reenactment of the first hockey game that happened between the Royal Military College and Queen's University. And the tradition is that they play with a square puck. And I'm really not sure that that's a good idea to keep that tradition. Okay, so this is going to be a little challenging here.
We're like squeezing by this.
Yep. If I was in the other trolley, I wouldn't be able to do this.
Wow. This is not your first rodeo, eh?
Let's relax when we get through it.
Like, this is really tight. Wow. I'm gonna give you a good review. More than 5-star review here.
You're sweet. Thank you very much.
You deserve a raise now. Woohoo! She did it!
That was pretty
Woohoo!
tight. I think that you guys were all breathing in. It helped a lot.
Yeah.
But the other trolley, I wouldn't have been able to get through that with that one.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Well, thank you. So we're at the end of the tour now, and again, I want to thank you guys very much for joining me.
This is lovely.
If you want to stay on, somebody's picking up the trolley in just a couple of minutes. I'm going on my lunch break, and you'll
We
just
can
get
get back
another
on,
little
too.
bit different view of everything.
So my question, okay, so I bought it for the day, so I can come back on, right?
Hop on
Cool.
for 24 hours.
Nice. Okay.
Okay.
Good to know.
And anywhere you want to. You don't have to be here. You can, if you wanted to just walk down to the Marine Museum, then get on and keep going.
Very
Yeah.
good. Thank you. Yeah. I gotta get my money's worth.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
That was nice.
It's such a great city. It's so easy to talk about. There's so much history in it. And it is so beautiful. Of course,
It's so nice not to see skyscrapers.
Yes, you're right. Lots of rules, that's for sure, for building down here.
So, so there's rules. Like,
Oh, yes, yeah.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Ah.
There we
very
go.
good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, thanks very much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Enjoy the rest of your time here. Thank you.
Thank
You're welcome,
you.
guys. Enjoy.
Do you take tip thing or
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep, absolutely.
give you a tip?
Thank you very much.
Very good.
And enjoy the rest of your day. There's
I
lots
will.
to see, that's for sure. The museums are all pretty good.
Hmm. Sometimes I wish I had.
Don't worry about it. It's all
No. I have. But it's just like I need another hand, you know.
I know. I always used to say when women got pregnant, we should be able to grow another hand
Yeah.
after we had children
Okay,
for
hang
2
on.
years.
One moment. I thought I had a $5 bill somewhere. Too many things. Of course.
Yes, it's hard to travel lightly, isn't it? Hello, how are you?
Good, you?
I'm good, thanks.
Another day in paradise?
Yeah, well, at least it's not raining.
Not yet. I hope it doesn't rain all day.
I agree with you. If it works, that's fine.
Do you have an umbrella?
No, I don't need an umbrella. You're very sweet. Thank you very much. And as I said, enjoy. Lots of places to see. And yeah, like you said, get your money's worth.
Right?
So I've been using this one here on the right hand side. I've only done one tour with it. I've got it turned off and plugged in again.
Sorry, the cord is.
No, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Okay.
Get out of here. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
Thank you. All right, so guys, we're gonna end this one. I don't want to have a pub meal. I need to have a nicer meal than a pub meal for my lunch. I don't know what. So we're gonna. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, everyone. Cheers. Give you some hearts. And some bubbles. Tiny bubbles. I thought I had a goodbye, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll be on in a you know, give me a few minutes to start another one. We'll walk a bit and try to find a restaurant. I want to have a nice meal, not a pub. I mean, pub meals are good, but I can't have another pub meal. I'll spend the extra money on a nice entree or something. Thanks, T. Scott, Scott, were you here all this time? I hope you didn't miss anything. There's nice. Were you on? Bob, good to see you. Yeah, see you next one soon for lunch. Our lunch date in Kingston. Was Emily here? Bob Chow, thanks for joining me. Joseph as well. Lou72, thanks for being here. I hope you guys are enjoying. Everything. So now we can get on again too. 1M Raw, thank you. Try to go through some of the Ricky Rick, thank you. Anna V, are you still with us? Thank you. I can just continue walking and go through some.
Can I want?
Well, it's just for the tour. I'm just seeing Bob was saying $54 for Kingston is reasonable. Yeah, but there's like a bigger package I could have added to go into museums and stuff like that. I don't know if I will. Like, cause again, I'm not here for very long. So we'll see, cause this is kind of like a little introduction for myself. So to come back again to do other things, right? I'm not sure if I really wanted to do Thousand Islands, but I'm not sure if I'll do it for this time around. We'll talk more. Hi, Harjot, thank you. Oh, I did see Jeremy and City Emerald, thank you. Who else is here? I don't think I can get to everyone, but thank you so much for joining me on this is my series, you know, from a tourist point of view. Let's have a look at the up close and personal here. This is huge. So look how tall it is. I never realized like how massive these trains are. Massive. Let me just walk through. I don't want to photobomb you guys here. Getting a shot in. Roy, were you on? Hey Roy. We're gonna have lunch. I had a really good, their continental breakfast is really good. And I ate that, so that helped me for the morning. So. Okay. Oh, they have chairs, tables here. But there's no cafe per se. But that's good to know. And there's washrooms here. I got new sunglasses from the other, not the, actually they have souvenirs in this one, but I went down to the hut over here. Maybe I'll start the live stream over there because I said I'll be back to buy some souvenir stuff too. I like the choices that they have in that hut. This one's not much. This is pretty. This used to be the train station, right? Confederation Base and Public Washroom. Okay, so okay, let's walk along here, taking the views. I'm ending, but I'm just, and then we have to figure out lunch. I like to have a nice lunch. No pub food this time around. Alright, maybe a view like here. Okay. Alright, right here. Around. Bye guys. We'll see you in. I'm gonna cough now. Sorry. My wind-blown hair. Sorry. Bye, guys. My allergies. I've been sneezing all morning, everything, so. Bye. We'll see you soon. Of course, as soon as they turn it on me and I want to say a lovely goodbye, I start coughing. Anyway, peace. And we're gonna end with a cheers. Okay. Alrighty. See you in a bit for lunch. Cheers.